today, people still challenge me on the idea of a house not being an asset. I simply offer an alternate way of looking at this popular dogma. Think about that quote for a second. It completely challenges the absolute cornerstone of middle-class pride, doesn't it? I mean, the deeply held belief that a primary residence is your greatest financial asset. But what if that popular dogma is exactly what's keeping so many people financially stuck?
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing a fast-paced, sophisticated analysis of the core financial mechanics laid out in Robert Kiyosaki's legendary book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going to strip away all the noise and reveal exactly how the wealthy actually build, structure, and protect their money. Honestly, it all comes down to understanding the functional flow of cash, and we are going to dismantle conventional financial wisdom piece by piece.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today's briefing. We'll be covering the working class trap, redefining assets and liabilities, the 3 cash flows, the corporate tax shield, and finally, choosing your financial destiny.
Let's start with Section 1, the working class trap. We really need to look at why working harder for a higher salary is rarely the actual path to true wealth. This right here is the core realization Kiyosaki learned from his rich dad. It's lesson number 1. You see, most people struggle financially because they spend years, sometimes decades, in formal schooling but learn absolutely nothing about money. They're taught the singular limiting script: go to school, get a safe, secure job, and trade your time for a paycheck. But the rich, they operate on a fundamentally different paradigm. They do not work for money. Instead, they figure out how to have money work for them. Positive thinking and a good job just aren't enough if you're trapped in the wrong system.
Moving on to Section 2, redefining assets and liabilities.
To escape that working class trap, we basically have to unlearn what we've been taught. The crucial point here is brutal simplicity. Seriously, forget complex accounting jargon. If you want to be wealthy, this functional difference is literally the single most important rule you must grasp. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it. It's that simple. Most financial novices, and even a lot of professionals, overcomplicate this. The poor and middle class constantly acquire liabilities that they falsely believe are assets. Remember that bigger, flashier house we mentioned at the very start? Case in point. This brilliantly illustrates exactly what we mean. Follow the flow here. You have the balance sheet at the bottom and the income statement at the top. The arrow tells the whole story. A true asset physically funnels cash upwards, directly into your income column. It's an active, living mechanism that generates positive cash flow for you. Which brings us to Section 3, the 3 cash flows. Now that we've got the definitions down, let's enter the diagnostic phase and trace the precise geometric cash flow patterns of the different economic classes. The cash flow pattern of a poor person tells a pretty straightforward and stressful story. In financial reporting, numbers alone mean very little. It's the plot that counts. Here, the income, which is almost always a job salary, flows into the top box and immediately sweeps down and out through the expense column. It's instantly consumed by rent, food, transportation, and taxes. Notice the balance sheet at the bottom, the asset and liability columns, they remain completely empty. Nothing is left behind to build a foundation. Now, notice how this builds into the middle class pattern. The plot thickens here, right? This is the classic rat race. The salary comes in, but before it even becomes a standard living expense, it's diverted down into the liabilities column to service the mortgage, the car loans, the school loans, and the credit card debt. Only then does it cycle out as an expense. As their wages increase, well, their taxes and liabilities increase in exact proportion. They work incredibly hard, but their money is completely trapped in this cyclical drain. Now, the contrast here is stark and honestly beautiful. Let's slow down and observe the rich person's cash flow. The focus is entirely on the bottom left, the asset column. They spend their lives acquiring real estate, stocks, bonds, notes, and intellectual property. And look at the arrows. Those assets completely bypass the job entirely and shoot straight up to the top, generating rental income, dividends, interest, and royalties. They have successfully bypassed the rat race. The asset column generates more than enough income to cover expenses, and the balance is just reinvested straight back into more assets. And this all brings us to the ESBI quadrant, which represents a fundamental shift in perspective. On the left side, you've got E for employee and S for self-employed. Over there, you earn ordinary income, money you trade your time and labor for. But on the right side, B for business owner and I for investor, you generate passive and portfolio income. That is money working for you. Knowing the difference between these types of income and actively shifting your focus from the left side of this quadrant to the right, well, that's the basic education required for financial freedom. Let's look at Section 4, the corporate tax shield. But generating income is only half the battle. Protecting it is the other. This is often called the biggest secret of the rich. You know, we're all taught that Robin Hood is this romantic hero who took from the rich to give to the poor. But Kiyosaki's rich dad called Robin Hood a crook. It's a fascinating, contrarian reframing, isn't it? It perfectly captures how the wealthy view taxation. Historically, taxes were sold to the public as a way to punish the rich, but the wealthy don't just sit there and take it. They don't play by the same set of rules as everyone else. They use their financial intelligence to find legal escape routes. And the ultimate escape route is the corporation. Now, when most people hear the word corporation, they imagine a massive factory, a skyscraper, or a huge group of people. But consider the actual legal definition. A corporation is merely a file folder with some legal documents in it, sitting in an attorney's office. It's literally a legal body without a soul. True capitalists created corporations hundreds of years ago, during the days of sailing ships to limit their risk. Today, the wealthy use this simple legal document as a shield to protect their assets from lawsuits and heavily minimize their tax burden. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that shield is so powerful. It's a massive chronological advantage in the tax code. Look at step 1. Employees earn their money, get taxed immediately on the top line, and are forced to live on whatever's left over. But look at step 2. A corporation earns money, spends everything it legally can with pre-tax dollars, like turning vacations into board meetings in Hawaii or claiming car payments and health club memberships as company expenses, and then, and only then, does it get taxed on whatever is left. It's a profound difference. It's literally the difference between someone walking and someone flying. Finally, Section 5, choosing your financial destiny. So how do we actually apply this? Let's summarize the core strategies we've unpacked today from the source material. First, you absolutely must invest in your financial education. Your mind is your greatest asset. Second, you have to stop buying liabilities that masquerade as assets. Third, focus relentlessly on building that asset column until it generates enough passive income to cover all your expenses. And finally, take the remaining balance and reinvest it right back into the asset column to create a continuous compounding loop of wealth. I want to leave you with this final, vital thought. You have the power to determine your destiny with your time and your money. Spend it foolishly, and you choose to be poor. Spend it on liabilities, and you join the middle class. But if you invest it in your mind and learn how to acquire true assets, you choose wealth. Every single day, with every single dollar that enters your hand, you make a decision. Rich, poor, or middle class. So what does it all mean? It means the choice is yours. Which will you choose today?